Hi, I'm the Sad Panda. This is going to be another episode of my series, I Read This Should You, and this episode is going to be on a manga that I just finished reading this morning. And I just decided that what better to review than something that I have fresh in the mind right now. So, this episode is going to be on Chainsaw Man. It's a manga, it's on Viz. I don't know where else you can read it, but I'm sure it is out there. But I just finished reading it, and I want to talk about it because I think it is pretty good. It's not bad, and the story is so-so in the beginning, but it gets pretty interesting towards the end. And this story only has like 97 chapters or so, or something like that. So it's something that you could read in a couple days. I decided that I was going to finish reading it yesterday, and I read like 30 chapters or so, and then this morning I read like 20 or something, and now I'm caught up. So it's not too hard to read. It's a good read. It's pretty easy to read. The action scenes are very good, but let's not talk about that quite yet. Let's talk about the main character and the story itself. The main character's name is Denji. He's a character that is not the most intelligent, I could say. He is relatively poor. He's in a lot of debt. Apparently, when the story starts, Denji is like calculating all the debt that he still has to pay and the money he's made by like selling kidneys and like things like that, because he's that monetarily challenged, is the way I would say it. Poor is another way you could say it. He is a devil hunter. So what he does is he or demon hunter. I don't know if they're devils or demons. I'm pretty sure they're devils. But yeah, he's a devil hunter, and what he does is he goes and kills devils, and the way this world works is that devils can spawn from pretty much any, like, idea, right? It reminds you a little bit of Jujutsu Kaisen, the way curses work. Like, it's the commutative fear of all like people they have for a certain thing, and it can create like a curse, but it's like that, but devils. So like one of the first devils we see, I think, is like a strawberry devil, I think, and it's like in this like farm town, and it's like a creature with like tons of eyes and stuff, and he just cuts it up with a chainsaw man. But no, like devils can spawn from like anything. So like if there's enough fear over a certain thing, like a devil can like manifest essentially. So like the first thing we know about Denji is that he's like in debt to like a mafia boss or something like that. So it's like a lot of debt, and it like continues to grow, and like so he pretty much will never be without debt. But he's still trying his best. The debt isn't even his, it was his dad's, but his dad committed suicide from what he knows and what everyone knows. His dad committed suicide and left him with the debt, so he has to work it off. And this mafia boss doesn't care that he's only like a kid. He's 16 when the story is going, but like he started doing this, like paying his debts at like 10 or 11 or something like that, when he was like a kid. And one of the things that makes this story so interesting is he has a devil that is a friend of his, that his name is Puchita. It's like a little dog with like a chainsaw on its head, which is like what he uses as like a weapon, because like the dog has a tail you can pull like a chainsaw, and it'll start the chainsaw and you can cut it up and stuff. And it's a pretty interesting premise. And like as the story commences, like we see him fight this devil, he gets paid for it, and then a bunch of like money gets taken out for like his debt, so he's only left with like 1,800 yen for like the entire month. Otherwise, like, so he doesn't eat regularly. He's like super poor, right? And like he's trying to like sleep and dream or whatever, and he's woken up by like one of these mafia bosses again, and he's told that he has to fight another devil, and he goes with him, obviously, because like that's how he gets his money. And as the story continues, he gets to like the warehouse where like the devil is supposed to be, and there is a devil there, that is true, but this mafia boss and like his like henchmen or whatever, they decided that they could make a deal with this devil, which is something that you can do. You can make a contract with the devils, like just like in like a lot of lore when it comes to like the devil, you can like sign a contract, which is like a mutual promise between the two parties. And usually it's pretty detrimental to the one party, but that's not always the case, especially in this story, which we'll get to that in a second. But this devil is a zombie devil. You know, people are scared of zombies, so these are quite common devils, but they're powerful because a lot of people are scared of zombies. And Danji and Pochita are stabbed through the back by this mafia guy, and he's like, well, we made a contract with this devil, and then the devil fulfills his side of the contract by giving him some of their power. But what they don't know is that zombie devils, when they, like, give their power to humans, they just turn them into zombies. And they don't know that, so he literally controls, like, a ton of people as just zombies. So this devil is even more powerful than he would have been if it wasn't for these mafia guys, because they just bring people to him to, like, make him more powerful, essentially. And so he gets stabbed through the back, and he's, like, dying, and then he gets, like, cut up and torn to shreds by these zombies, and, like, that's, like, the end of, like, the first chapters. He's, like, dead, essentially. Like, it's not, like, the end of the first chapter, but it's, like, really close to the end. He's literally chopped into pieces, and it goes into, like, a little flashback where he was talking to Pochita about, like, his dreams and stuff. And he's like, you know, if I die while fighting these devils, I want you to go and, like, live my dreams for me. And Pochita, like, took that as a contract, right? Because he is also a devil. He's, like, a devil dog. He took that as a contract. So they decided mutually that if Denji dies, Pochita will, like, try to live out his dreams for Denji, and vice versa. And what Denji doesn't know is that this demon specifically, or this devil, can, like, use or take parts of you and, like, become that part. So he takes Denji's heart and becomes his heart. So that's how he becomes the Chainsaw Man that we see in the rest of the story. And so he has this, like, ripcord in his chest where he can, like, pull it, and he can, like, bring chainsaws from his hands, his arms, like, they, like, cuts his arms in half, but, like, then there's, like, a huge chainsaw inside of them, and, like, his head becomes, like, a giant chainsaw with, like, a mouth and teeth. And that's how he, like, fights this zombie devil, kills them all. And that's when we meet another character that shows up, Makina, I believe is the way. I'm sorry, I have it written down here. Makima, sorry. Makima, she shows up, and it turns out she's, like, a devil hunter. There's, like, devil hunter associations because devils are so common, and she's, like, one of the, like, higher ups, like one of the, like, chairmen, essentially, like, not that high, but, like, right below that. So, like, she reports directly to, like, the head of the association, essentially. And she sees that he's, like, a devil, but he's also a person, and she thinks that's, like, kind of interesting. And so she takes him and uses him as, like, a tool for, like, the rest of the manga. So that's, like, just the beginning of this story. And, like, the story progresses, and we meet other characters like Aki and Power, which Power is probably my favorite character. I think she's really funny. Like, all of, like, the stuff she does, she thinks she's the best at because she's a fiend. So here's another tidbit of information that you get from this story, is that there are different types of, like, devils, right? There's, like, the devil that is in the traditional sense, that is a, like, creature that is formed directly from, like, the fears of a certain thing, right? And then there's, like, half devils, which, like, essentially it's not what Denji is, because Denji is, like, something completely different, but, like, they're called fiends. And it's, like, they have, like, some devil abilities, but it's not, like, to the same extent, essentially. And we meet, like, Aki, who's another, like, member of this, like, association. And it's super fun the way these characters interact, right? Because, like, Aki doesn't like devils, and Denji is essentially a devil, right? And so, like, the first interaction they have is, like, Makima sends them off as a team, because she can't stay with him, like, all the time, because she's obviously, like, a big part of the association. And so she's like, Aki, you will stay with him and watch him, and if he ever runs away or anything, you could kill him or whatever. And, like, they leave and they go on this thing, and they go through, like, an alleyway, and Aki attempts to, like, persuade Denji to, like, quit by, like, beating him up. But then in the same situation, Denji, like, fights back, obviously, because he doesn't care that this guy's, like, a higher up or whatever, or, like, his boss, essentially. And he just, like, kicks him in the nuts. And then he says one of the funniest things that, like, is a callback later on in the story. He's like, whenever I fight men, I always go straight for the crotch. And it's the funniest thing. But, like this story is, it's pretty flat at the beginning, right? Like, Denji has, like, one goal, one idea that he wants to do, and then he does it, and then that's it. And then the next a little bit is him doing another goal, and then he does it. And these goals aren't like grandiose goals that you usually get from like a protagonist, right? Where it's like, I want to be the strongest, or I want to be king of the pirates, or I want to be the Hokage. Like, it's like stuff like, I want to hug a girl, or I want to touch breasts of a girl, which it's obviously, this story doesn't have a whole lot of like ecchi stuff, but there is a little bit at the beginning, and then it really tones down way later. But like, he also has like the goal of like wanting to be like essentially free, is like his like the grand idea of like his whole thing is he just wants to be able to make his own decisions. And that is something that I'm not going to discuss too much because it is a huge like spoiler later. So I'm not going to talk about that all too much. But as we go on, we meet like Power, which I told you, she's a fiend. She's a blood fiend, so she can use her own blood as like weapons and stuff like that, which I think is super interesting. And we get more insight on what like devils are and how they become so powerful, and what devils are considered powerful and what aren't. And that's one of the things that we hear about pretty early in the story is the gun devil. And you would think that, you know, most humans, 99% of humans, I could say, are afraid of guns. Like, obviously not to the point where if you saw one, you'd freak out, like if there was one on the wall or something. But if anyone pointed a gun at you, you would be probably pretty afraid. And that spawned one of the most powerful devils in the story from this point that we know. And obviously I'm not going to like say anything else, but this gun devil, like just being in a city for, like they have like time, like stamps, like how long the devil was in the city and how many casualties. Like the devil could be in like a city for like 20 seconds and kill hundreds of thousands of people. And like, that's how long it like it'll be in a certain spot and then it'll go somewhere else. And that's like, it's so fast and so powerful that it could literally kill like hundreds of thousands of people in seconds. So it is very, very powerful. And like one of the things that it says is that in like 1 minute, in like 50 seconds or something like that, it killed 1.5 million people. So like, it is so fast and so powerful that it's one of the most feared devils. And since it's so strong, and devils gain power from the more they're feared. So like, this devil was already strong and now everyone is scared of it. So now it's even more powerful, and it's one of those things. And like, Denji is a powerful like devil himself, but he's not feared all that much by like anybody. So like, obviously he's not like nearly that strong. But like, this story continues to like escalate, and then at some point we've like Denji and like Aki and like a couple other characters that I'm not going to talk about, they get like attacked by these people that want Denji's heart. So they want Pochita, right? Because Pochita took over Denji's heart, and now Denji is Pochita and himself at the same time. And they want his heart, and we don't know why that is. And well, we do now, right? I'm going to discuss the first 100 chapters, so I'm going to go into pretty heavy spoilers after this. So if you want to get my review of the story, I'm going to tell you right now that it's like an 8. I think it's an 8. The action's really fun. The characters are really fun. Denji, I think, is a funny protagonist. Power is awesome. Aki's cool. Like, Makima's cool. These are all cool characters. I give it like an 8. It's worth your read if you have the time. It's pretty short. I mean, it's only 97 chapters, so I mean, it's definitely worth it. So now that the review is complete, I'm gonna put words on the screen about right here. Spoiler warning, okay? Now that we're going to get really into the like what this story is about, okay? So Denji's heart, Pochita is a very powerful devil. In fact, it is the devil that all devils fear, right? So when a devil dies, it goes to hell, and then if it's still like feared enough, it'll be reborn in hell, and if it dies in hell, it'll be reborn in heaven. So not heaven, on earth. So it has like this continuous cycle of like life and death that these devils have. And there's certain devils that are so powerful that they've either never died or died once, so they literally only exist in hell, except for Pochita. Pochita is a devil that is like universally feared by devils, like to the point where, like if you control like Pochita, which is Chainsaw Man, you can like kill pretty much any devil, right? And it gets to the point, right, we learn this because one of these assassins that comes to get Denji's heart sends Denji and the group to hell. And that's when we figure out that, like, by another one of these devils, it's called the Angel Devil. Some people fear angels, apparently, and they're very powerful because they can take your lifespan, and so they're scary. If they touch you, you lose, like, years upon years of your life. If they touch you for long enough, you just die. So they're pretty scary. But Denji and these guys go to hell, and they get confronted by one of these demons, or one of these devils that have never died. So like they're considered the most powerful like beings like in hell, because they're universally feared. So they're like the fundamental fears, like the stuff that humans fear from birth, right? Like darkness, for example, which is what this demon is, or this devil is, sorry, I keep saying demon, but they're devils. This is the darkness devil. So it is the manifestation of the fear that like creatures, humans, like anything that is alive, like pretty much has this instinctual fear of what lies in the dark, you know, the darkness itself. And so this is the devil that is the personification of darkness. So it is very, very powerful, and it's proven because the first thing it does when it shows up is pretty much murk every single person that is in there with Denji. Denji also gets murked, but this is where we learn what Denji is, like essentially by another devil, the Angel Devil's like conversation with Aki. And so like from there on, we get this like idea that, oh, Denji is like powerful, right? We don't know how powerful, but he's powerful, right? And like Pochita specifically is powerful. And so we move on through the story and we find out, like, I'm going to say it one more time because this is a big, big spoiler. If you're still watching this and you haven't read it, big spoiler warning right now. Boom, on the screen. All right, now that the people that were still here have left, and if you're still here and you haven't read it, I'm going to be mad. I'm just kidding. But we find out that Makima is not who she says she is. What she says she is just a regular person, but it turns out that she is the control devil, right? So she is the personification of the fear of control, of being controlled or controlling something else. She is very powerful to the point where she can kill anyone pretty much by just saying the word bang, which she does. Like, Power gets murked by Makima, like later in the story, like just she like points her fingers like bang and she dies, like literally like torso from the knees to the torso gone. Like that's how powerful she is. And it turns out that Makima was only using Denji. He was poor, right? And he had no friends and he was in debt and no one treats him like a person. So and he made a contract with Pochita to live his dream, to live Pochita's dream and to live his own dream. That was the contract that he made. And so Pochita's dream was to be loved by somebody, which because of Denji, he made that dream come true, because Pochita was so powerful in hell that he could not be loved, so feared that either if you saw him, you either kill him or run away because you'll die. Like it's that kind of thing. Also, we find out that the reason why he's so feared is because, like I said before, these devils have an infinite perpetuation of being reborn after dying, except for when you are eaten by Chainsaw Man. If you're eaten by Chainsaw Man, everyone will forget you. Past, present, future, even like the most powerful demons, or devils, if they get eaten by Denji, they will be forgotten. So like in this world, nukes don't exist, you know, like a bunch of stuff like that doesn't exist because the devils that were personifications of these things, like the nuke devil or whatever, got eaten by Pochita in hell. So he's very powerful to the point where if he like gets his hands on you and he eats you, you will be forgotten, to the point where no one will fear you, so you are infinitely weak. It's just this thing that like you can't be reborn after you get eaten by Devil Man, you know, or not Devil Man, Chainsaw Man. So that's what we learned from Makima. And it turns out Makima is a huge fan of Chainsaw Man, to the point where she's like infatuated with him, which she has to find a way to break the contract between Pochita and Denji in order to bring Chainsaw Man to the surface. Because Chainsaw Man exists in Denji, but since he made this contract with Pochita, he like pretty much has this whole emotion thing where he's like, well, I'm just gonna live my dreams, you know. He's pretty stagnant on when it comes to emotion, like kind of like to the point where he doesn't even know if he has a heart anymore, because like he thinks about, oh, if this person died, would I be sad? No. I mean, if this person died, I might be sad for a couple days, but then no, not really. And like that kind of thing. And so there's this huge thing, and it turns out this gun devil is already dead. It's not dead because it's so powerful and is still universally feared on Earth, to the point where like its body just split up into like big chunks that is controlled by different countries. So if you are like a leader of like America, I think they held like 27% or something like that of the gun devil, and they can use the gun devil's power to like fight and that kind of thing. Like what they do, like what this happens in the story, but spoilers, I'm just gonna remind you a little bit that the gun devil has confirmed, like in the story, he can confirm headshot every human male within 100 or within 1,000 meters of it. So within 1 kilometer, instantly, they instantly headshot any person anywhere within 1,000 meters. In 1,500 meters, he can kill any kid, any woman, and like, so it's pretty scary. This gun devil is insane, but Makima fights this gun devil head on and doesn't really lose. Like she controls Aki, she controls a bunch of other these like, what is it called? The devil like association, whatever, the devil hunter association or whatever. And she controls a bunch of them to fight the gun devil, like at least a small chunk of it, and she wins. She, like it's said that she loses, but she wins, right? Like she's like the big bad of this first 100 chapters, right? And after this after the 97 chapters is over, like it says like arc 1 is done. So the arc 1 that was the devil headquarters or devil association headquarters arc is complete. So now we're waiting for another arc, but that's just it, right? But like we find out, right, that Makima has been using Denji to break the contract to bring Chainsaw Man back. So what she does is she knows that Denji has like a really bad life. She knows this stuff. So what she does is she gives him everything that he's ever wanted and then takes it away. That's why she kills Power. That's why she kills Aki. That's why she makes Denji kill Aki, actually. She controls the gun devil, a piece of it, to make Aki like absorb it essentially, right? And become part of this gun devil and fight Denji. And Denji has to kill him in order to not die. And obviously Denji doesn't want to die. And so he kills Aki, which he sees as like a big brother. And then like he's really beat up about it. And Makima's like, oh man, I'm so sorry. And brings him to her house and like plays with him or whatever, because she thinks of him as a dog. And then they get like a knock on the door, and she's like, oh, I invited Power over. And she's like, well, come open the door for me. And he's like, okay, and why is she here though? And she's like, because I'm going to kill Power. And he's like, what? That doesn't make any sense. When he opens the door, sees Power. She has like a happy birthday cake or whatever for Denji, I do believe. And boom, gone. She literally just kills Power right in front of him and pretty much awakens Chainsaw Man. So what she has to do, right, in order to control a devil this powerful, she has to defeat it first. So when she has to fight and defeat Chainsaw Man, like not Denji, not Pochita, but Chainsaw Man, which is like what Pochita was originally in hell. Pochita came out of hell after getting into a big fight and then was saved by Denji because, you know, devils need blood to survive. And so Denji gives Pochita blood and makes Pochita like him. And then they like have this friendship and it's very beautiful. But she has to fight Chainsaw Man and win, essentially. So what like the way this ends is Denji fights Makima. And obviously she's very powerful, right? And like as Chainsaw Man gets like kind of obliterated, kind of like just like rocked. Like he like rocks her socks off, like destroys her essentially. But it turns out that he was no longer feared because on Earth, she spread the story that he killed the gun devil, right? Which is universally feared on Earth. So if Denji, Chainsaw Man, killed the gun devil, that means he's the good guy. That means he's on the good side and everyone loves him. So he loses a bunch of power and loses to Makima. And then he comes back to try to fight her again, but this time not as Chainsaw Man, but as Denji, like the Denji Chainsaw Man hybrid or whatever, and loses. Like he loses. Like it's just, she's very powerful. It's no joke. But what she doesn't know is that who she was fighting wasn't Denji. What she was fighting was Pochita, the heart, just going with like making a body that looks like Denji and fighting her. And since he was way weaker than he used to be, so obviously he loses. But what she doesn't notice is that Denji like uses like some of the blood given to him by power after she saves his life. Because there's this whole thing earlier in the story where he sucks some of her blood, so he has some of her blood, and she exists because Denji and makes a contract with Pochita, and it's this whole thing. But he like cuts her down with like a regular axe that made by her blood, and it slows her regeneration or whatever. And then he kills and eats her, like cuts her up and eats her. And as he is technically Chainsaw Man, she will in turn be forgotten, Makima. But the controlled devil itself will not be, because Makima isn't like 100% of the controlled devil. So another like reincarnation of her, it like comes to life or whatever, but it's not her. It has none of her memories or anything like that. It's just another control devil. And that's pretty much where we end the story. Well, we end the first arc is right there. So like that's pretty much all there is to know about Chainsaw Man. And I think it's very good. And again, I give it an 8 out of 10. It starts pretty ecchi, a little more ecchi than I thought. There's a lot of gore, a lot of blood in this. But you know, it's not bad, right? And it's a little more ecchi than I would normally you know, read. I mean, I like ecchi as much as the next guy, but it was pretty on the nose, if you ask me, right? But that's a-okay. The story is very good. If you are going to read it, you made a mistake watching to the end. Because like a lot of these twists and stuff, like you read it and you're like, ooh, Makima seems a little weird, right? She's a little weird, but like not in a horrible way, but she's just a little weird. Like there's hints, and like once you read this whole thing, you're like, oh, that's why she's so weird. And like you get the whole idea of like why the characters are the way they are. Like if you don't watch, or if you don't read the story all the way through, you won't understand why Makima is the way she is, because she's really weird. And like one of the first things that we see of Makima, she gets shot in the head, like point blank with a gun, and she like dies, but she doesn't die. And we're like, what is her devil ability? Because that's what we assume, because a lot of these Devil Association hunters or whatever, they make contracts with devils that care a little bit about humans or whatever. And by giving something of yourself away to these devils, they will give you the power to fight other devils. Like Aki, he has like a wolf devil, and there's another one, I just don't remember, but like you get the ability of that, you get to use some of it, you know, that kind of thing. And so we're like, ooh, what is Makima's devil power? Oh, what does she use? Like she was shot point blank in the head. And one of the things that we hear is like, if they are human, because they're still human. Like Aki is still a regular human. Denji is still a human. Essentially, they can die to a bullet. Like you can dodge bullets, I guess, if you move before they're shot, but you can't if they're point blank and you don't know that's gonna happen. Like Aki's mentor gets shot, and she's like a very powerful, like she was one of like the most powerful in like the whole Devil Association. She just gets shot and dies because, you know, you can't die. You can die from a bullet. That's why guns are so scary. But yeah, that's about it. This episode's been going on for very long. A lot of spoilers in here. Again, if you watched this through without reading it and you plan on reading it, you made a mistake. That just is what it is. But that's it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you did watch this all the way through and you read Chainsaw Man, let me know what your favorite character is or what your favorite like part is. Right now, my favorite part probably is when Chainsaw Man, like the insane like devil killing Chainsaw Man, like has some of Denji's like memories still. So he goes and tries to do stuff that Denji wanted to do, like his dream or whatever was to like get a cheeseburger, to like date a girl and that kind of stuff. Like he goes as Devilman to like a burger restaurant, kills a bunch of people, and he's just like, rah, 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 because he can't speak, but people understand that it means cheeseburger. And so this girl brings him a cheeseburger meal and like trips and falls, and the first one like slaps on his face, and he doesn't do anything, obviously. And she like panics, and she's like, get another cheeseburger meal. She goes and grabs another one, and she's obviously very scared because he trips and falls again and slaps him in the face, and she's just like picks up the patty and puts it on the table, and he eats it. And then he's like, then he remembers, he's like, oh, I wanted to date a girl as well. So he just takes her and brings her to like Dance Dance Revolution and makes her dance. It's the funniest thing. No, but that's probably my favorite part. My favorite character is probably Power, because I think she's funny. Like the way she talks about everything, she's always like, I'm the most powerful, like that whole thing, even though she is not. She's strong for sure, but she is not all that powerful, to be honest, like compared to these other characters that we see. Like there's this one character that has like a scar on the side of his face. Very strong. Like he kills Power and Denji over and over again because they're kind of immortal if they get enough blood or whatever. So he like has to train them, and he just kills Denji and Power over and over again, no matter what. Like even when they have like the drop on him, as in like he was walking up to a door and he went to go knock on the door, and like a blood spear came out point blank like to his face, and he dodged under it, and then spears came down from the ceiling and he dodged around that, and then Denji tried to come down from like a floor above to like stab him, and he literally kicks him so hard that he breaks his neck. And then he falls on the ground. He's like, all right, well, that's enough training for today. You guys did good. That was the best try yet. And he like leaves, and then he throws a knife and kills Denji again because they're like, oh yeah, we don't have to train today. He's like, never, the beast should never listen to the hunter or whatever. And it's like the funniest thing. That's probably my favorite, like either that or the dance part. Those are my two favorite parts of this whole story. But yeah, that's about it. If you like my content, leave a like, leave a comment. If you don't like my content, leave a dislike and leave a comment. Let me know what I need to do better. Of course, I reply to all my comments. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks.